Hello and welcome to the Daily Forex Report for August 7th. We're looking at the US-Japanese yen pair. This pair pretty much is moving sideways overall. We are looking for it to potentially go as high as 79.00, possibly as low as 77.80. Look for some resistance around 78.75 and look for some support around 78.05. Now the Euro-USD pair created an inside bar during this last session. Closed lower, definitely looking, went right up to the previous session's high, turned around, closed lower. This could be a signal that overall this next session and maybe a couple of sessions are going to be moving lower. So keep an eye on that closely. Now we do have some resistance to the upside around the 124.50 mark, and we also have some support around 123.25. Now the pound-US dollar pair is consolidating down overall. We are looking for it to break out at some point. Not sure when that will occur. We are looking for it to potentially go as high as 157.33, possibly down to 155.05. Look for some resistance around 156.82 and look for some support around 155.50. Now the US Swiss, it closed. It created an inside bar as well. Closed even. We are looking for it to potentially go as high and hit some resistance up around the 197.50 mark, possibly moving down, hitting support around 0.9650. Okay, as far as news announcements go, we do have some news announcements for tomorrow. The Bank of England is releasing their inflation report at 5:30 a.m. Eastern. No consensus given on that one, no previous. Then at 9:30 p.m., a little bit much later in the day actually, we have the Australian unemployment change for July being released. They're showing an increase from negative 27.0K up to 10K, so moving from negative into positive numbers there. And we also have at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, we have the Chinese releasing their consumer price index for July. Consensus on that is that it's dropped just a little bit from 2.2% down to 1.7%. Then at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, we also have the unemployment rate. Actually, that's just the straight unemployment rate for the Australian, and that's for July. They're showing a drop, or I'm sorry, an increase in the unemployment rate overall. From 5.2% up to 5.3%. Of course, if the numbers come out that the unemployment rate has risen, that would be negative news, of course, for Australia and the Australian dollar. Now, what am I looking for during this next session? Well, let's take a look at the 15-minute chart on the Euro USD. You can see that it was kind of a up and down day, and then it basically sold off. We have, let me zoom in, we can get a better look. During this last session, we have the market fluctuated as it normally does, slightly expanding over time. Then it typically picks a direction when the European session starts, and you can see that it moved higher. But after that, we had definitely some consolidation happening, and then it just dropped and continued to move lower through the rest of the session. So pulled back basically to close pretty much at even. If we take a look, zoom out just a little bit, take a different viewpoint, vantage point, we can see that we have a trend line here that we're pretty much breaking at this point. We've touched it a couple of times here. It's sold off below that, closed below it. I could see us moving on down during this next session down to this area. We have an area of support right here. Two different areas at 123.83 and 123.75. Now the overall trend long term is to the upside, so it'll be interesting to see what's going to occur during this next session. what I would venture to say is that we're going to see this pair move lower and either tag one or both of these, find some support, move lower and find some more support, and then turn on around probably during the European session and move higher. So definitely keep an eye on that. You can see that a strong trend line to the downside is being created right about there. So look for, what I'm going to do is look for this pair to continue on down to this point and then reverse. And when we get a break of this trend line, then I'm going to look to go ahead and buy in and use this stop, use the low wherever it does create a low, probably around the 123.75 mark as my stop. Look for it to break to the upside and use at least a risk to reward of 2 to 1 there. Depending on when it breaks, you're talking about a pretty tight stop loss. Of course, if it comes down to this point where they cross, then you have to pick a new stop loss. But currently where price is, it'd roughly be a 17 pip stop loss. So that would put, doubling that would be around 35, which would put it right in this area, which is no surprise, right at a previous area of resistance. Well, I hope that helps, and until next time, this is Jason Fielder. Good trading.